Hello and welcome to the Knitted Wardrobe. It is great to have you here. My name is Jenny and somewhere around here we have Finchley who is padding around. So if you hear meows, it will be him. Today you find us in the Knitting Nook for the 5th episode in the podcast series, and it is a joy to have you here. Thank you for spending the time, and I would really encourage you to grab your hot cold beverage, grab your needles, grab your yarny gorgeousness, pop your feet up on the sofa and join us for another episode of the Knitted Wardrobe. Today we are going to be talking about colour work design, and it's probably kind of like almost episode 2 of the leaf design that I'm working on at the moment. We're talking about finished objects, we're talking about all the yarny things, and we're also answering a question from last episode's podcast. So thank you for leaving your comments, thank you for subscribing, liking, doing the thing. But let's get cracking for the 5th episode of the Knitted Wardrobe. So today you find me in the Knitting Nook, and it's actually the early afternoon. So the sun is doing its thing. So if it starts moving and casting shadows, you'll know why. But today I have a very nice cup of tea, and very simple. I make it in a teapot that I bought at the Leech Pottery down in St Ives in Cornwall. Always brings me a lot of joy to make an afternoon cup of tea. But today, what we're going to start with, as I look down in front of me with all the things in front, I've been really looking forward to this episode. I'm going to be sharing some design mistakes that I've made this week. Rather than ripping back, I thought I'd share them with you. We've got a finished object, and we've got all the delights of some yarn hauling. So yes, let's get cracking first and foremost with today's finished object, which I actually think, she says reaching over, is our first finished object on the Knitted Wardrobe, apart from the Cornish Path sweater, which I'm wearing today. It's the pattern I released on November the 1st, and yeah, I haven't actually worn it since release day. I needed some time away from it, but actually today woke up and it's like, it's the perfect Cornish Path sweater day. So yep, you can go over to the knittedwardrobe.com and pick up your pattern there. But today I would like to talk about the Equinox Cowl by Yvonne at the Bay Tree Studio. And I shared this with you last episode, and I said that it would be a quick knit, and actually it was. I had cast on, I think I'd done the 10 rows of ribbing last time I saw you, and I sat down on Remembrance Sunday, which is November the 11th here. It was November the 12th this year, and yeah, it was just good. Watched load of YouTubes, load of videos, loads of movies, and just knocked it out. Actually, it's a really beautiful knit. I knit this in Beth's yarn. Beth runs Telling Yarn, and you will definitely notice a theme with her work today, as you did in the last episode. But this is Molly at the Burrow, and it's spun at the John Arbon mill down in Devon, and it's a British breed wool. It's 100% wool, non-super wash, and it is so soft. It's beautiful. I knit this on a 3mm needle, and as I was saying in the last episode, I wanted this to be a little bit smaller than the pattern calls for. I'm quite small, and I didn't want anything too gapey. And what I love about this is, and how I've been wearing it, is when I've been at the pub or kind of like out with friends having coffee, I've been able to wear it as normal. But I have actually started crossing it over and wearing it under a coat, and I'm very happy with that. It keeps it all snug up here. And if you've been following me on Instagram, _knitted_wardrobe, you'll know that I've had kind of like an absolute lovely time with this. It's been on my neck since it was blocked, which was just over a week ago now. And at home, if I've been wanting to walk around without the central heating on, I've been wearing it and then just pinning it here so it stays snug while I'm out and about, well, around and about at home. And yeah, then it's nice and open when I want a bit of airflow. But yeah, beautiful cowl, really universal. And I love it so much that I reached out to Yvonne and asked her that if we could use the design as a giveaway. And she was delighted and said, absolutely yes. There's 3 patterns that are up for grabs when we hit 1,000 subscribers, which is not long away, actually. I know we're over halfway there now. So if you would like to get your own copy of Yvonne's pattern, along with Maya's beautiful yarn beach grass from the Wool Barn, do hit subscribe. We'll put all the names into a randomizer and pick 3 out when we hit 1,000. But I just love this colour. Maya at the Wool Barn has dyed this on a really soft, really gorgeous fingering weight. It's 85% extra fine superwash merino and 15% nylon. It's 100 grams or 400 meters, 437 yards. And I chose this because it will go with everything. It's a colour, but it's neutral. It'll look great with blues and greens, purples, golds. It's a really good in the middle colour. You can see the other 2 up here just hanging out ready to be sent to you. But yeah, I love this colour and I cannot wait to give it away when we hit 1,000 subs, along with Yvonne's beautiful designs. So yeah, I think it's important to celebrate the milestones. I've definitely learned that in life. You have to be aware of the work you've done, and yes, there's more to be done and there's loads more adventure to happen with yarn, but yeah, I'd really like to celebrate with you, and you're the reason we're here. So yeah, it'd be great to hit 1,000, and I cannot wait to give away the design, but not this version because it's mine, and Maya's lovely yarn. She's a West Country dyer, and I'm very, very happy to support all the Brit dyers, all the UK dyers. It's fantastic. So yes, I'm very happy with the cowl. It's definitely been everywhere with me over the last week, and it has been fab. So definitely, if it's not on your needles or it's not on your project list, get it on there. We had a really lovely Monday this week, actually. So if you're with us with the Instagram community, you will know that we meet every Monday morning at 10:30 for Instagram Live, and we usually spend half an hour, 40 minutes chatting about all things yarn, kind of like setting our knitting intentions for the week, and it's a really lovely space. I absolutely love it. And part of that community is I've met Sarah, who's just a wonderful human being, and she's opening up the Knit Lounge. So go and follow the Knit Lounge. We will link everything up down below. But it's a bricks and mortar store that's opening up in Greyshot in Hampshire here in the UK in February. And we also met Irene, who is just incredibly gorgeous woman. I loved spending time with her on Monday, and it was our first ever meetup. I had never met Irene before, and we just brought our they brought their needles and their yarn, and we've met through the knitted wardrobe, and we met at this lovely pub about half an hour away, and I forgot my needles, and I felt like an absolutely awful knitter, and it was really kind of like, I did that. That was definitely a fail, but it was great to meet people who I've been communicating with over the last few months over on Instagram, and have a really good knit night without the knitting. Although Irene has been kind of like churning out gift knits like you wouldn't believe. And Sarah is just beautiful cumulus tee on, it was the silk by, what is that brand? I'll try and link it above. Everybody's knitting it. It's that beautiful silk in just a stunning grey, really beautiful knit. So cumulus tee for her. Irene was doing a great kind of like Icelandic wool. It'll be on her Instagram, but the colour work around the yoke, it's for her daughter's boyfriend, and it's got bicycles all the way around the yoke. It was absolutely stunning. So it was great to see them on Monday. But do come over to Instagram, join us there and see what we're all up to. I love being in DMs, chatting with you all. It's just so much fun. So yes, that happened this week. It was Instagram live in the morning, and then meeting the guys in the evening for pub meal and gorgeous knitting. But yeah, that was Monday this week. And I still can't believe I forgot my needles. But it does come at a time where Mama December, you left a comment in last week's episode about needle size and design work. And I thought I would just kind of spend some time talking about that because it was a really interesting question. And I said I would answer it in this week's episode, and so I'm going to do that now. So in the last episode, I had been talking about the new colour work design that I'm working on, which we will talk about in a minute. But before we head there, Mama December left a wonderful comment asking me how I choose my needle sizes for the yarn that I'm going to be working with, as well as kind of like the projects that's appearing in front of me. And it's a really interesting question and not as simple an answer as I thought. And I've got some samples here so we can chat about it. So when I'm choosing a needle size, I very rarely look at the recommended needle size that's on the ball tag. And I think that's quite important to remember. It's a recommendation only. And you know your knitting. You know if you're a tight knitter or a relaxed knitter or just a neutral knitter. I'm quite neutral. And also you get to know the fibre that you're going to knit with. So this is a cotton, and it's just a craft cotton that I picked up at the craft shop in my local town. And this is what I knit my dishcloths with. It is a really robust cotton. I can't break this. And if I were to untwist the end, you will see that it's made up of many fibres. So I think this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's an 8-ply. So it's an 8-ply cotton yarn. And the recommended needle size on this is a 4.5. And I'm sure that works well for a lot of people. But actually, the job I want this cotton to do is to be a dishcloth. And dishcloths are the pattern that I use, I will link below, is by Stacey at verypink.com. She's a phenomenal knitting instructor. Go over to her site, do the thing. She's amazing. She also basically taught me to knit. I mean, we're talking over 10 years ago now, but she's got some great tutorials. I love her, and it's her dishcloth. So what this dishcloth needs to do is be a garter ridge, and I need it to be able to wash my dishes, which means that the knit that I'm looking for, the stitch, needs to be quite tight. So I'm a neutral knitter. I'm not tight, I'm not loose. And I know what the job I want this to do, which is to be quite a tight stitch. And I know that I'm going to be knitting from a cast on of, I think, 5 going up, and then in increases each side and then decreases each side to make basically a diamond that will become a square. I've got fibres all over my nose. Love yarn. So this, for me, although it's a 4.5 recommended, I will actually knit this on a 375. It will make the yarn twist very tight on my stitches. It'll make it quite rigid, which is great for a dishcloth. And it's also in cotton, so I can dump this in a 40-degree wash. It will not shrink. It comes out every time without problem. And actually, I do tend to put this in a kind of like rag wash with a lot of the laundry bleachers. I use Tough Love by the Clothes Doctors here in the UK. Great company if you want to find some really good, especially their cedarwood and vanilla wool wash is the only one I use. But they also do a laundry bleach called Tough Love. And these dishcloths go in there 40 degrees, up to 60 sometimes. Comes out beautifully. Great. High twist, high ridge, and I chose a 375 because, as I said, because it's cotton, it's 8-ply, it's doing a job. That's great. So that's how I would choose that particular needle size. Yarn choice and job it's going to do. So this is by Raw Wool, and this is it's actually one of my favourites. It's Dark and Stormy Night. And this is their DK weight. And I was very specific on what I was kind of like sample knitting for. And I wanted an open weave in this so I could vaguely see through it. So you can definitely see the open weave for that. And it's for a project I'm thinking of doing next year. And it's a very soft drape. So when you see it on the skein, it goes all floppy. Whereas if you were to look at a kind of like a skein of wool that hasn't got so much drape, it doesn't flop so much, which is a very basic way of looking at kind of like the drape of a skein of wool. If you're at a yarn fair or something, just see if it flops. And if it flops, it's probably got a good drape. Anyway, Dark and Stormy Night. This I would normally have knitted on a 4.5. to make it a closer weave, and it's because it's a DK. It's a lovely natural product, and what I want it for is a very relaxed looking cardigan actually, and it will do that perfectly. If I had knitted it on a 4.5, it wouldn't have had the open weave that I was looking for, and it would have just been a solid bit of fabric, which is great, but not what I'm looking to make in the future. So a 5mm needle and a lot of drape, and that's beautiful. But again, if you wanted a closer weave, probably go down in needle size, 4.5. A 4 would have made it too tight, and it would have made it too rigid. And I don't like tight stitches for me personally. So yeah, just knowing what I wanted it for and the type of flop that the yarn gives by the way it's spun, that gave me the information for that one. Whereas 5mm on Raw Wool's Rum and Raisin, which is really beautiful. I mean, very different drape. This is not as floppy at all. And this will be part of a project that's coming out next autumn, on the autumn solstice. But the reason I love this is that this is on a 5 as well, and it is on a DK, but it's a very different sheep. So this one is, what is it? Hang on, let me just get the ball of yarn, the skein of yarn, and I'll tell you the difference. So the Rum and Raisin, which is the firmer fabric that has been knitted up in, is actually a 70% British Svart bale, which I can never say, lamb's wool, and a 30% British Wensleydale lamb's wool. And yeah, it's definitely a tighter spin and a very different yarn to this, which is Wensleydale. And this is the Dark and Stormy Night, and it's a lot softer. It's a different sheep. So we're looking at two very different animals that have created this. So you've got a lot of squish and you've got not a lot of squish. So you need to know what you want them to do for you. So again, you're going to get on the non-squish on a 5mm needle, you know, it's going to be a bit more rigid than the floppy one. So that's how I choose the needle size for projects. It's what material am I working on, what drape I want, what the project is, whether it's an openly kind of like really super relaxed slouchy cardigan, or is it going to be a jacket that needs to be out in the kind of like wilds a bit more and a little bit more kind of like shower proof, or is it going to be a dishcloth and just chucked in the wash at 60 degrees with a load of fabric bleach? I mean, it's totally dependent on your project. And that, I think, is also really important when we're talking about what type of needles. So, my needle case is by Alex Collins. She's a fantastic screen printer. I purchased this at Unravel in Farnham, and it is my needle case of choice. It is beautiful. She has many designs, but go over to her. She not only screen prints all her fabrics, she also makes her bags. But as you'll see in mine, let's just get this open for you. I don't have many needles. These are all I have bar 2 sets, which are currently in use. And I have both wood and metal. And I know a lot of people who are very, very particular about whether they use metal or wood. And I understand that, I really do. But what I don't, she says dropping them everywhere. What I don't understand as a designer or just a knitter is why people have, there seems to be on the online community, if you use wood, you're not as quick or as good at a knitter as if you use metal, which to me is just ludicrous. Wood, I use Knit Pros, by the way. I really like them for a couple of reasons I'll get into in a minute. But wood offers you a grip. So when I'm using silk, which I tend to do about 2-3 times a year, silk scarf or I've got a beautiful 2-ply sweater that I did. And I like the control that wood gives with silk because, and many other slippy things, like if I was, in fact, the Cornish Path sweater, this one, 100% superwash merino, and I knit those on wood because it was a really slippy yarn, and actually I wanted the control that wood gives me, and I don't feel it slows me down enough to make an issue on speed. And also, we're into slow fashion if we're knitters, so, you know, go get that. Anyway, but I like wood for the slippier, kind of like finer yarns that come my way. And then metal. Metal is really good. I love my metal needles too. Again, Knit Pros. And in fact, where are they? They're around here somewhere. I actually bought a new set of needles to me. I bought 3mm carbons, I think they're called, by Knit Pro. And I got them in the interchangeable and in the double pointed. And these are because I'm going to be using them on my colour work projects that we'll be talking about in a minute. And they offer me a really fine tip and they're slippy. And when you're working with 100% sheep, that's basically Velcro, you need some slip and glide. So actually for my hands, to look after my hands, I've chosen the metal version, and also they're pointy because it's going to be colour work. I need to, a bit like lace, I need that point on a needle to actually do some work for me. So I'm really excited about them. And yeah, I just went for them because they had a pointier tip. They're metal, they're 3mm, they're exactly what I need to get gauge. Done, really. So they are them, and they are because we are now going to be talking about my new colour work project, and it's called Tumbling Leaves. Tumbling Leaves is the name that I've given the colour work project that I have started designing here at the Knitted Wardrobe design space, and it's for my Christmas cast on. And if you've been following along on Instagram, you will have seen the evolution of this design over the last couple of weeks. And we looked at it last week when I showed you the sample of the gauge swatch that I did, which is beautiful. It was the same yarn as my Equinox cowl. It was Molly at the Burrow, and I had knitted it up with raw wool, and it's the Shepherd Silver, which is a 4-ply. Got gauge on 3 mils, very happy with it. It's a very neutral drape. It's not too tight, it's not too loose, it's just a lovely one. And I was working out kind of like what I wanted to do with it. I knew I wasn't happy with the leaf design that was originally there. And so I spent some time kind of like looking at leaf patterns over the last couple of weeks. And I came up with 3. So this is my maple leaf, which originally had extra kind of like stitches here. But for the stitch count math, I actually took those back and left a very simple shape, which actually reminds me of an oak leaf as well. So it could be either, I guess, but it is a maple leaf. And this will be going down that way. So down the sweater that way. And the thing I said on Instagram is you've got to remember, the leaf will not be this big. These are very big squares, and the 3mm needles are very small. So the leaves will be a lot smaller than they are on the page, because I know I'm going to get a comment about that. And then I got another one, which is that shape, and a bit fatter, which is that shape. And they will be intermixed all the way down the sweater. So we've come from a place where I had... last time we spoke, we had this that I had done on a Sunday afternoon, played around with some stuff, and we've now evolved to 3 leaf shapes, and I'm very happy with these. And yeah, they're good. I like them because they allow me to have a larger leaf at the top that will go down the sleeves and the body in kind of will go large to small, basically. And we're going to be doing, I'm going to be doing a fade with that, with the contrast colours. So this was the process of doing it. The square paper, I just got it from Smith's. Our local station is here. And I just played around with it, really. Heavily influenced by Andrea Rangel's books, but they have absolutely been tweaked because of the row length as well as the width, so the stitch width. I needed to play around with all 3 of them, but definitely inspired by Knittivation, which is her colour work book. And then I spent a load of time doing massive kind of like... I have definitely changed shape this year, body-wise. And so I spent an evening with a friend of mine taking my measurements, working out the maths for the stitch counts, and really working with my gauge swatch. And although I had loads of pieces of paper, it came down to the back of an envelope and all my details were there. So I'm casting on 130 and I need 330, so 130 for the neck. And then for the shoulder circumference, I need 330, which is a 200 stitch difference, which sounds a huge amount if you were working on DK, but remember, I'm working on tiny yarn, so that actually is well in proportion. And I wanted it to be oversized, so it's actually got a 6-inch positive ease, so that all works out perfectly. And if I have a 200 stitch divided by an 8 stitch per row increase, that's a 25 rows of increasing. So basically I'm increasing every 5 rows, over 125 rows for my upper body raglan increase, which is ridiculous, but we got there in the end. And it's probably wrong, and that's fine. I'm okay with that being wrong. And instead, the reason why we're increasing 8 stitches each time we increase is because I've chosen to do a raglan rather than a yoke. And so it will be 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. And they will go that way. So you're making the sleeve as you increase, which is what you do with a raglan, rather than a yoke, which is just round. So you do an equal amount of increases round a yoke. They're fixed on a raglan, which is what I wanted. So that's fantastic. And I also then decided to cast on with some play yarn. So I chose Oost. It was knocking around, and as I said in the last video, I have really annoying Celtic skin that reacts to everything, like everything. And I can't actually wear the Oost wool next to my skin, which is really sad. But it does mean that I have a few skeins where I can just kind of like cast on and play, which is great. This is also a lesson in wrong needles for yarn. Oost is really grippy and it's very Velcro-like, which is fantastic if you're doing colour work. Absolutely the best thing to choose. But I cast on with wooden needles and I just need to change them over because there's too much grip on that now. I definitely need metal for this. So I cast on and I did so this is going to be massive compared to my actual knit because it's 4mm needles and it's a DK yarn rather than 3mm and a 4-ply fingering. So, which is fine. You know, this is just giving me maths and it's giving me an idea of what we're doing. And I was really tempted yesterday when I knew I got it so wrong to pull it out and not share it with you because I thought I can't go on YouTube and show such a basic, idiotic mistake. And yeah, do I want to do that? And I thought, yes, I do, because if you're doing this at home, you will come into this as well. And you're not the only one, because I certainly have done it before. I will do it again, but I've done it this time as well. So basically what happened is where I'm starting the maple leaf is actually near the tip of it here. So you have the tip of a leaf coming down and then it will grow into more leaves as it grows. And that stitch repeat is 15 stitches. So I had 15 stitches here, I had 50 here, 15 here, and another 50 at the back, making 130. Ideal. I had forgotten to place the raglan increase stitches. I needed another 8. So I actually wanted 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here, which will just be knitted into to grow. But no, I wasn't that. I just got it wrong. And also, I don't know how, but I cast on the wrong number of stitches. So it wasn't 130 anyway, and it was all a bit of a mess. But you know what? I got 1 row in of colour work, and I figured it out. It took me exactly 10 minutes to work out where I'd gone wrong and where I needed to go right again. And because it's such big stitches, and it's such grippy yarn, so easy to work with, I was able to kind of go, right, that's it, that's fine, I can rip it back, start again, Bob's your uncle. No time wasted. I was able to see it really clearly because it's black and white. And yeah, it was just a really good lesson in don't think that everything's going to be perfect first time round, because with design, it really isn't. There is better ways. There are people who, like Rachel Prest, my tech editor, who use Excel spreadsheets to do a lot of design work. So, and that I could do that. So that would be absolutely fine. But I actually like the process of playing around, learning, remembering, and kind of like I'm much more of a tactile designer. And also, I don't have any time limits. So this is my personal project. It's not like we've got a publishing date in mind for this. Although I have been asked by a few people on Instagram to publish it, but that's a whole other subject. But yeah, this is just me playing. I am actually designing a project, which we'll talk about in a minute. And that one is a very different design process. But for home knitting, where I just want to play, I just want to really enjoy this process, this is what happens. And I would really encourage you to sketch your knitting, as I've been saying for the last 5 episodes now. Always sketch your knitting, always kind of like have yarn around that you feel really good about playing with. You can rip it back, it's not going to affect any of your kind of like yarn that you want to actually work with in your final piece, and just be I would really encourage you to be relaxed with playing with yarn, because this colour, so this main colour here, this creamy one, is a lot easier to see than this. So this is the Shepherd Silver, which will be the main colour for the tumbling leaves, and I really don't want to be ripping back this particular yarn. It's so grippy, it's so fine, and when I cast on Christmas Eve for this project, I want it to be as perfect in my head as possible. So I'll have done all my mistakes, all my playing on my Oost wool, and I'll be able to kind of like cast on with this. And Beth from Telling Yarn has just aced it with the contrast colours, which we will have a look at now. So contrast colours. There are some projects that I will go to town with a really high contrast. So you'll see Mrs. Coulter, which is here, which is this beautiful, beautiful blue. It's got so many different parts of it. It's actually quite amazing. And it's being paired with basically a cream. So it'll be that blue with a cream, and it will pop, and it's going to be amazing. And that is coming out next year, and I love that. But Tumbling Leaves is a low contrast project, and what I mean by that is that, budge that over, that is the colour palette we're going for. So if I was to cast on with this, I know as me, as Jenny, I would be constantly worried that the fade wasn't going to work so well, that I wasn't going to get the leaves to look as I wanted them to look if I did cast on with my end of project yarn before I had worked everything out. So working out all the kind of like mistakes and the kind of like what the leaf pattern is going to look like, I'm going to be doing this for the next couple of weeks, actually, is playing on this yarn to see it. I will wash it, I will block it, I'll make notes on it, I'll keep it in the project box that I keep for every project. So yeah, I will wash and block this, and I will keep it in its project box as I do with every project. And it will have all the notes that I've thought about during the kind of like the design part on the play yarn. So I can then kind of like have a lot of fun on this. And Beth has gone to town with it. So we're going to start with Witches at Work, which is the one I was talking about last week, which is a beautiful citrusy green. It's pretty true to colour actually on the camera there. And I love it. When it catches the light, it looks kind of like you can see the yellow base in that, and it's just stunning. So this will be at the top near my neck. And I love this. I just love it. It's such an interesting yarn, and I've seen it in morning light, and this is afternoon light. This is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a November day, and I just think it's just so cool. It's part of her The Witches, gorgeous. But yes, this is going to be the main one near my neck. So actually knitting it with this, I will definitely see it on the needles, but I just don't want to be worried about it. So I'm very happy with that. And that will fade into her Agatha colourway, which when she was talking about, because this has been a whole thing. I originally had Witches at Work as the middle colour and a much darker green solid colour to start with, and it didn't work, so I sent it back to her and we had a good chat about the project and what I was doing. And she said, actually, with Witches at Work, I think Agatha would go well with it instead, and it's a semi-solid. Are you okay with it? It's like, absolutely, I'm okay with that. I'll always work with a dyer who knows their stuff, right? And she really does. So we've got this, and it's a bit cooler. It's a bit cooler in the green spectrum, but then it's got this beautiful kind of like purpley, mauvey kind of like splod in it. It's even got some gold in here. It's just I actually opened this morning. It came this morning and it was just like, oh my life, I'm in love. So this will be the middle part of the fade. I don't know if you can see that kind of like really rich mauve. And yeah, a spot of yellow in there. It's just stunning. So next to Witches at Work, that's going to be beautiful. And that is going to go down to Sweetgrass, which is a solid colour. And they're all on the Resolute base, which is a 4-ply fingering weight. And it is it's 50% Blueface Leicester, 30% Romney, 15% Masham, and 5% Swap Bell, the one I can't pronounce. But yes, this is she calls it a solid. None of her yarns are actually solid base. They're all hand dyed, so they all have their interest, right? But this is going to look great. And actually, the bottom will be quite a high contrast with the Shepherd Silver. So the leaves at the bottom are just going to be really popping. And I'm very happy with that. So all together, Christmas Eve is going to look stunning. I'm very happy with that. And yeah, so that's my colourwork design. But yeah, play around. Don't be afraid of getting your maths wrong and forgetting raglan increased stitches, and just knowing that, you know, I publish designs now and I've been designing for years. Like the first time I designed my own sweater was 12 years ago. And you know what? I get it wrong every single time. So yeah, just have fun. That's what we're here for, right? So next we're going to talk about a design that I am going to be publishing in April, and that's the Rock Pool Shawl. I hope your hot cold beverage is keeping you hydrated and comfy and warm and gorgeous. And I hope your knitting projects are coming along as we share time in the Knitting Nook. Thank you for being with me all the way through. It's just so lovely. In this bag, so if you were with me a couple of episodes ago, you'll know that I purchased this beauty of a bag, which is actually the project bag that I'm keeping my tumbling leaves in. It's by the Knitting Swan. It's a great sweater bag. It's fantastic. I love that. But Teo from the Knitting Swan got in touch with me last week and said, would you like me to send you and gift you a smaller project bag? And she has, and it's so cute. I love it. I actually have taken this to work, coffee shops, and everywhere in between. I actually took it to my neighbour's last night. We were having dinner together, and I was knitting on her sofa. And it's a really good one. It fits in my handbag beautifully. So now I can put my knitting in my handbag as well as my book, maybe wallet and keys, but most importantly, my knitting. And it's a great travel one. So head over to the Knitting Swan and pick up one of her beautiful project bags. They're so well made. This one isn't lined, but the larger one is. But yeah, I'm in love with this one. But in here, I've got the beginnings of the Rock Pool Shawl, which I thought I'd bring out because it also is a really good explanation of the knitting needle size conversation. And the play yarn for this is very soft alpaca 2-ply. It's really easily breakable, and I saw it and I thought great play yarn for a shawl, and I'll put it on a 3mm needle and it'll be great. For a sweater, it would have been phenomenal because it was quite close gauge, but for a shawl, no. So this is what it looked like on a 3mm, and I'm doing a looped, this is give the game away, I'm doing a looped knit for the top of the shawl, and this is what it looks like on a 4, which is really cute. And actually once that's washed and blocked, that will come out really nicely, and the drape will be a lot softer. Sorry, I showed you the back there, but yeah, it's beautiful. So the Rock Pool Shawl is our next one. And I'm currently talking to a fabric dyer down in the West Country of England, and we're coming up with the most beautiful fade combination for this, which we'll be getting together over December. And once we've nailed it, we'll be able to kind of like say, yes, that's the shawl. Kind of like, I think the work that she's doing is a very watercolor effects, and I think for the pattern that I want to create, it will be perfect. So the pattern itself is a garter tab shawl cast on. It's a bit quirky because of the stitch count that we needed in the maths, but it will end up looking, so you're knitting, so that's the middle, and we'll be working down. And the story of the shawl is it starts with the sand on the beach, and then it goes into waves, that goes into seagrass, that goes into the rocks of the rock pool. And it was inspired by a rock pool that I actually broke my camera in last August. It was a beautiful rock pool, and I was trying to take a photo of it, and I slipped, broke the screen of my phone, and also cut the back of my leg quite badly. But it was worth it because the pool was stunning. But this is the rock pool shawl. Won't have any hint of kind of like injury on it. But yes, this is what I'm working on at the moment. And I have other bits of samples dotted around, which I will probably bring in for the next show and tell. But yes, I will be looking for test knitters for this. And the application is already on the website. No, it'll be on the website next week, theknittedwardrobe.com. So if you want to apply to be part of the test knit, that would be fantastic. I'm looking for 5 test knitters to help me with this shawl. And it's fully yarn supported for 5 test knitters. And I'm really pleased we're able to do that. So you will be sent the shawl kit. So if you're in the UK and you would like to test knit for me, that would be phenomenal. But the test knit will be going on from February the 1st until the end of March, and the pattern release will be on the 15th of April. So stay tuned to YouTube for the rock pool shawl, and we'll be talking about it as it gets designed. But yeah, just thought it's an interesting one just to show you that yes, I do change needle sizes once I've done a sample. I'm just not happy with the way it's looking, even on the needles. I just didn't like the gauge, the tightness of this, and as I said, perfect for a cardigan, but not for a shawl. And also the play yarn is different. I wanted to see a drape for the shawl rather than just kind of like knit anything. And I wanted it to be as close to the stitch count for the gauges I could for the yarn that we will be using. So yeah, I think this is a really good lesson in, yes, I do still use cream yarn for all my sketch knitting, and I do change my needle sizes, and I definitely think about what I want the project to be for those needles. So yeah, but yes, definitely in the Knitting Swan project bag at the moment. And so the last thing we have is a couple of goodies that have appeared into the design space. One of them that I can't wait to open, which I think I mentioned a few episodes ago, and a new book. So let's get onto those. Advent is coming up speedily, and that means that I can finally start opening the Moorland to Sea Advent box by the Camel Yarn. Hannah produces these. She's a hand dyer down in the West Country, as you know, as is my vibe, and she is inspired by the Moorland and Sea for this one. I can't wait to open it, and at the moment, she actually has a few left on her shop. So she had a few that she had overproduced, and some of them are in sock weight, some of them have full skeins. You know, that she's got a variety. So if you want to pick up one of these and open them with me, then that would be fantastic. And part of this has led me to start thinking about how I want to do Advent and Vlogmas this year, which I never thought were words that were going to come out of my mouth on YouTube. Vlogmas is something that I really wanted to get my head around this year. And what I've decided to do is do it through shorts. So shorts are something that I feel that I can absolutely do every day. I can edit them myself on Rush, and they look a lot of fun. So if you would like to come on the journey of Advent and Vlogmas, or Knitmas, as I heard somebody say the other day, come along with shorts. I'll be opening one of these every day until Christmas from December 1st. And yeah, the shorts should be quite good fun. I don't know what the difference between them and Instagram Reels is, apart from the fact that they will definitely have a different vibe. And because I'll be doing them every day for the YouTube community, it will be covering different things than I am on Instagram. So yeah, if you want to come behind the scenes, come and knit with me at work, see what I get up to at lunchtime and all the stuff, then follow the shorts and that'll be great. So yeah, can't wait for the advents on that. And then finally, the book I'm reading at the moment is Godspeed. So if you want a really good book for the next couple of weeks, I would highly recommend this by Nicholas Butler. I have not read his work before, but I'm very, very glad I found him. I picked up this must be last December actually. I picked it up at an indie bookshop in Petworth, which is near me. And it's just been sitting on my bookshelf ever since. And I wish I'd picked it up earlier. It's about 3 friends who are living in Wyoming, and it's about their construction business. That's the opening setting. But the 3 of them, between them, you've got an addict, debt, and anger management issues. And although they form a very tight group, if one falls, they all fall. And they've got a very deadline-heavy project to finish by Christmas. And it's about their relationships and the project that they're building. And yeah, it's very tense already if you pick up on the kind of like background vibes that they're already kind of like dealing with before the project even opens. But yeah, if you want a really good book for the next few weeks, then Godspeed, I would highly recommend. And you can always check out the books that I'm reading on Instagram as well, because I talk about them each Monday on Instagram Live. But I just want to thank you for being here, and thank you for being here with Finchley as well. He's definitely been padding around and giving Jeremy a bit of an editing headache today. But thank you so much for being here at the Knitted Wardrobe in our little knitting nook. And I can't wait to see you for the next one. If you've got any questions or comments, do leave them down below, where everything is linked as well. And we can talk about all the things. So yeah, if you've got any questions about design process, or you know, what I'm thinking about, or if you've got any ideas, do share them, and we will definitely get talking about them next time. So thank you so much, Gentlefolk, for being here. It's a joy as always, and without you, this doesn't happen. So thank you for liking, subscribing, following, sharing, doing the thing, and I shall see you soon here at the Knitted Wardrobe. Take care. Bye.